We have minutes here from special council meeting November 30th for the community awards, regular council meeting December 5th, and a special council meeting December 19th for budget deliberations. For motion to receive those if they're all in order. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so we're going to move into public meeting for zoning bylaw amendments. So I'll look for a motion to go into the public meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Anyways, okay, so our first planning amendment here is for Paplinskie, and the property is described as part of lot 13, concession 8, plan 8, lot 6, known municipally as 38 Fire Road 96, having a property roll number of 1531009-17500. Now, the next part that I'm going to read here is the same for the all three zoning bylaw amendments. So any person, and I'm only going to read it once. So any person may attend the public meeting and or make verbal or written representation, either in support or opposition to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Please keep your microphone off or your microphone muted and video off during the meeting until I invite you for comments regarding the planning matter. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission to the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless the opinion of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment, you must make written requests to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. So with that, I'll turn it over to who's taking care of this one then? It's FoodCycler. Okay, Alicia, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mayor Martin. And through you, I'd like to wish council and members of the public a good morning. For any members of the public who don't know, my name is Alicia Ackroyd, and I am one of the planning consultants to the township with FoodCycler Planning and Design. And just as a bit of a background, sometimes FoodCycler will assist township planning staff in the review of development applications and the preparation of staff reports to council. However, today my job is a little bit different because I didn't actually conduct the review of these development applications nor prepare the reports. But I am going to be presenting the zoning bylaw amendment and temporary use bylaw amendment during the public meeting today because the township planning assistant, Andrea, is on parental leave. And he's asked me to step in today and help him present this information to council and to the public. So very happy for Andrea and happy to be here this morning as well. So the first application for zoning bylaw amendment, which Mayor Martin had mentioned, is for property owners Karen and Mark Paplinskie. And the purpose and effect of this application is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an application to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended to permit the tear down and rebuild of a seasonal recreational dwelling within the required high watermark setback from Cashabog Lake. The property is described as part lot 13, concession 8, and the roll number is 1531-010-009-17500. The property is municipally known as 38 Fire Route 96. The property is in the Methuen ward, is 0.58 hectares or about 1.45 acres, and it's zoned seasonal residential and designated shoreline in the official plan. The applicant is proposing to tear down the existing one-story 66 square meter cottage on the property to develop a new larger cottage slightly further from the shore of Cashbog Lake than currently exists. And as there are multiple physical constraints on the property, including overhead hydro lines and numerous mature trees, the applicant is requesting zoning permission to build the new dwelling where it is being proposed today. The site is currently developed with multiple accessory structures as well, including a one-story aluminum garage and multiple sheds. The accessory structures are proposed to remain on the site unchanged. The existing cottage is also served by an existing septic tank, which will be decommissioned and replaced by a new septic system as part of the proposed redevelopment. The new seasonal recreational dwelling is proposed to be 283 square meters or 3,045 square feet and 2 stories in height. A covered porch is proposed on the opposite side of the shoreline to the cottage, and the cottage is proposed to be a minimum of 14.3 meters from the high water mark of Cashbog Lake, while a portion of the cottage is also proposed to extend partway into the 6-meter emergency access setback from the lake, and that setback is required by the Crow Valley Conservation Authority, but it is important to note that the Conservation Authority has approved the proponent's application to encroach those proposed 3 meters into the emergency access setback. Therefore, a 3-meter setback from the emergency access is incorporated as part of the development. The new septic bed is proposed to be a minimum of 26.4 meters from Cashbog Lake, and that will be located outside of the emergency access setback, and as well as it will be behind the new proposed recreational dwelling. The existing septic tank is 23.9 meters from the higher watermark, so the a new septic tank will be further set back. The existing recreational dwelling that's going to be demolished is 10.9 meters from the high water mark, and the deck for the existing dwelling is 8.3 meters from the high water mark. So everything that is being proposed on the site now is going to have an improved setback to that high water mark than currently exists. The the requested amendments for this zoning bylaw amendment specifically pertain to that requested reduction in setback to the high water mark, as well as the front yard lot line, which in this case is the same thing. And that distance is going to be 14.3 meters. And the requested reduction to the setback to the high water mark from the septic system being 26.4 meters. And all other provisions of the zoning bylaw are met through this application. So following the review and assessment of this application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies, it is Township staff's opinion that the subject application conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough official plan, the Township official plan, and is consistent with the provincial policy statement. Public notice was posted on site and mailed to surrounding property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, and the Township is in receipt of 1 letter of support for this application from a neighboring property owner. It is Township staff's conclusion and recommendation that this application be approved, and I'm happy to answer any questions from council or members of the public.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to ask 3 times if there's anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this application, followed by 3 times anybody wishing to speak in favor. So for the first time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? And third time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application? I do see the applicant on there. I don't know if there's anything to add. If not, second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? And third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? Okay, I'm going to open it up to council. If there's any questions or for Lephta with regards to the application. Otherwise, there is a recommendation here that the draft bylaw be passed and the balance of the report received. So that's
I just make a motion that we move the recommendation of the planner.
okay. So that's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so that application will move on. So the second application is for Amy and Brendan Kain. And this is a statutory meeting held under Section 34 of the Planning Act, and the owner and applicant is Amy and Brandon Kain. The property is described as part of lot 28, concession 9, plan 33, part lot 54, RP 45R 841, parts 1 to 4, known municipally as 1126 Fire Road 89, having a property roll number of 153101007634002. So I'll turn it back over to Alicia for the rest of the report.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. And through you, the second application, as mentioned, is for property owners Amy and Brandon Kain. And the purpose and effect of this application is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an application to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended to permit the tear down and rebuild of a seasonal recreational dwelling within the requested high watermark setback from Jack Lake. And I'm going to go over the property information once more. The property is described as part lot 28, concession 9, and lot 54 on registered plan 33. And the roll number is 1531-010-007-63402. The property is municipally known as 1126 Fire Route 89, and the property is in the Methuen ward, is 0.72 hectares, which is about 1.8 acres. It's zoned seasonal residential and is designated shoreline in the official plan. The applicant is proposing to tear down the existing one-story 95 square meter cottage on the property to develop a new, larger cottage slightly further from the shore of Jack Lake than currently exists. And to accommodate for the varied topography of the site and existing development to be maintained on the property, the applicant is requesting zoning permission to build the new dwelling in the proposed location. The site is currently developed with a one-story dwelling inclusive of a covered porch and attached uncovered decks, a 1.5-story detached garage, and an unattached deck and a floating dock. The accessory structures are proposed to remain on the site unchanged, and the existing cottage is also served by an existing septic system, which will be decommissioned and replaced by a new split-bed tertiary septic system as part of the proposed redevelopment. And the twin bed tertiary system is required both to accommodate the size of the dwelling as well as the unique topography of this site, which does sort of slope upward as you go plan south. The new septic system is proposed to be located no closer than 18 meters from the high water mark and shoreline of Jack Lake, and the existing septic bed is less than 14 meters from the high water mark, thereby demonstrating an improvement to that setback to the high water mark. The development of the new dwelling also represents an improvement to the setback to the high water mark, as the existing dwelling and decks are approximately located 11 meters from the shoreline. The new seasonal recreational dwelling will be a minimum of 18 meters from the high water mark, and the lakeside deck that's being proposed will be a minimum of 14.8 meters from the shore. That new seasonal recreational dwelling is proposed to have a footprint of approximately 374 square meters, which is nearly 4,050 square feet, and it will be 2 stories in height. And as I mentioned, there's going to be an uncovered deck. So there's an uncovered deck and screened-in porch, which are both being proposed on the shoreline facing side of the new cottage, and a covered porch is proposed on the opposite side of the shoreline. And an attached garage is also proposed on the eastern frontage of the new dwelling. The requested amendments for this zoning bylaw amendment application specifically pertain again to the requested reduction in setback to the front lot line and the high water mark, and again, which are the same in this case, and the requested reduction in setback to the high water mark from the septic system. All of the provisions of the zoning bylaw are proposed to be met. And following the review and assessment of this application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies, it is Township staff's opinion that the subject application conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough official plan, the Township official plan, and is consistent with the provincial policy statement. Public notice was posted on site and mailed to surrounding property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. It is Township staff's conclusion and recommendation that this application be approved. And as always, I'm happy to answer any questions that may arise. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. So I'm gonna ask, for the first time, is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Third time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none or hearing none, is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Is the applicant here?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair.
Did you have anything to add?
Yes, my name is Vanessa Archer. I am the applicant on file through TD Consulting on behalf of the Kains. I am just here if there's any additional questions required of us, and would like to thank Alicia for reporting on behalf of ARIA. But if anybody has any questions, I'm here for answers.
All right, thank you. All right, so the second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? And third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? All right, hearing none, we do have a recommendation here, and I'm going to open up to council if there's any questions regarding this application to either Vanessa or Alicia. Okay, so the recommendation here is the same as the last one, that that the draft bylaw be passed and that the balance of the report be received. Want to move that? Move by.
And then,
Moved by Councilor Clement with a question.
no, I just want to make a comment. I had to get clarification on the sewage, and I just want to give them credit. It's more environmentally friendly. It's a different kind of one that I'd never heard of. So I like that. So yes, I'll make a motion to pass.
Okay, so moved by Councilor Clement. Do I have a seconder for this application? Councilor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. All right then. So the third and final application for today is an application by Bernal. This is a statutory meeting held under Section 13 Planning Act. The owner applicant is Bernal. The property is described as part of Lot 8, concession to RP 45R 9108, Part 5, no municipal address, frontage on Cole Road, having a property roll number of 153101002100907. So I'll turn it over to Alicia.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, and through you, yes, this third application that I'm discussing today is for applicants Jerry and Feblin Bernal, and the purpose and effect of this application is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an application for a temporary use bylaw to permit the temporary use of an accessory structure without a primary permitted structure or primary permitted use. The subject property, as Mayor Martin has mentioned, is described as Part Lot 8, Concession 2, and the roll number is 1531-010-002-10907. And the property does not currently have a municipal address, but does front on Cole Road in the Belmont ward. And the property is 0.62 hectares or 1.55 acres. And is zoned and designated rural by both the Township Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw and the official plan. The applicant is proposing to develop a one-story 55 square meter or 594 square foot woodshed on the property. And a temporary use bylaw is required to permit the development of the woodshed, as the woodshed would be considered an accessory use. And since there's currently no primary use or primary structures on the property, technically an accessory use or an accessory structure is not permitted because it would be accessory to nothing. So it should, however, be noted, though, that the accessory structure proposed, though it wouldn't be permitted currently, it does otherwise comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw related to size, height, and setbacks. So it really is just to temporarily permit the use of the shed. So the property has approximately 68.5 meters or 225 feet of frontage on Cole Road. And the property is currently undeveloped. And it is the applicant's intent to, at some point, erect a primary residential dwelling on the subject property. However, we all know building costs and the cost of borrowing are quite high these days, and so those plans have just been temporarily delayed. But in the meantime, the applicant is seeking to construct that accessory wood structure on the site just to keep wood out of the elements. And that is really the only use currently being proposed on the site. So even though there is this site plan being demonstrated on the screen here, you can see that the woodshed is highlighted as it's the current application being brought forward. Section 39 of the Planning Act is the section that authorizes municipal councils to permit temporary use bylaws under Section 34 of the Planning Act, which is the same section that generally deals with zoning bylaws and zoning bylaw amendments. And the proposed temporary use bylaw and associated temporary use agreement to be shared between the property owner and the township would be what permits the property owner to have the woodshed on the property without the primary use. And as proposed currently, that agreement and the temporary use bylaw is proposing to support that use for a total of 24 months or 2 years. The shed will be temporary until and unless a primary use is developed on the site or the expiration of the agreement. So following the review and assessment of this application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies, it is township staff's opinion that the subject application conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough official plan, the township official plan, and is consistent with the provincial policy statement. Public notice was posted on site and mailed to surrounding property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, and the township is in receipt of 1 letter of support for this application from a neighboring property owner. It is township staff's conclusion and recommendation that this application be approved. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. All right, is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? And third time, anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? And third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, I'll open up the council. Is there any questions? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I realize it's a vacant lot, so if people are there and they're working, should we not have a 911 address? Or a civic address for emergency purposes?
We can request the 911, we may have already.
Okay,
Thank you into that.
Okay. All right, then, any other questions? So the recommendation is that the draft bylaw be passed and authorized signature of the mayor and the clerk for execution of the attached temporary use agreement. And that the balance of the report would be received. The temporary use thing, I don't know what flags it, and it's a 2-year thing. Is that what I heard? It's for 2 years.
Mayor, I believe it's, oh, go ahead, Alicia.
Hey, Alicia.
So yes, through you, Mr. Mayor Martin, the proposed temporary use agreement and bylaw is 2 years. The Planning Act permits a temporary use for up to 3 years, but in this case, the planning staff and the applicant have agreed upon a 2-year agreement.
Okay, and then something would flag that as far as 2 years down the road. Traffic.
Mr. Mayor, we will track that, yes.
Okay. All right then. So, and the balance of the report would be received. So, what's your thoughts here? For mover or what?
I will move it from there, but I would like the 911 address.
Yeah. Okay, moved by Councilor Clement. Got a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay then, so I'm looking to go back into the public meeting. That concludes the zoning, moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. Did you want to deal with the bylaws now, or do you want to leave until the end? It's up to the council.
Leave until the end.
Okay. So, then I'll look for a motion to go into committee of adjustment with Deputy Mayor Webb in the chair. So I'll leave this remover. By Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Carry on.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, members of Committee of Adjustment. We'll call this public meeting to order and remind the members of the committee of the requirement to disclose any pecuniary interest and general nature thereof if the occasion arises. This public meeting is held under Section 45 of the Planning Act and its regulations. We'll now have our planning consultant. That's not what's on my sheet, but anyways, Sonia Altonen is joining us today to present. I believe we have 3 minor variance reports. So first one up, I think Sonia is TenDen.
Good morning, Mayor and members of council and public. The first minor variance is A124. Property owners Ann and Richard TenDen with municipal address of 157/26F, part lot 13, concession 10. The lot is approximately 1.01 acres, zoned seasonal residential with official plan designation of Shoreline in the Belmont ward. Notice the public meeting was given by prepaid first class mail to every owner of land within 60 meters of the area to which the application applies, as well as prescribed ministries and agencies. And notice was clearly posted on the property. The property is occupied by a recreational dwelling with a gross floor area of 1,538 square feet or 143 meters squared, with a covered porch and stone patio to the rear yard. The purpose of this application is to obtain approval to construct additions to both the first and second story of an existing dwelling unit towards the rear yard. The additions will also have the effect of creating a covered porch, also orientated towards the rear yard. The minor variance will seek relief permitting the increase of a deficiency as it relates to section 410B2. Section 4.37, reducing the minimum required high water mark setback from 30 meters, 100 feet to 9.3 meters or 30.5 feet. And seek relief from 1121C, reducing the minimum required front yard setback from 21.3 meters, 70 feet to 9.3 meters, 30.5 feet. Setback standards to the high water mark in front yard are not being reduced beyond what they're existing now, and the development will be well within the 15% lot coverage for the seasonal residential zoning. The property is zoned seasonal residential, and the application maintains the interest and general purpose of the zoning bylaw. The additions are being proposed within the rear yard, and therefore are no reductions to the existing conditions on the property. There's no existing, the existing height is being maintained as well. The majority of the proposed development is taking place on the existing footprint, therefore it is considered to be minor in nature. The minor variance will serve to enhance the overall utility of the property and is therefore considered to be desirable and appropriate use of the land. The minor variance maintains the general intent, both Peterborough County and Township official plans, as well as the provincial policy statement and growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The property is designated shoreland and waterfront in the county official plan and in the township official plan. The proposed variance proposes no further deviation, reduction to the existing waterfront setback from its provisions of the existing zoning. And as a result, is our recommendation that this minor variance be approved with the condition that a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of a building permit, and that a building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application on submission to the building department, with approvals of Crow Valley Conservation Authority and Peterborough Public Health.
Thank you for that, Sonia. Is the applicant or their agent present with us today?
Hello, I'm Richard TenDen. I'm the owner of the property.
Hello, what's the last name, sir? Sorry.
TenDen.
TenDen.
Yep.
Did you have anything to add to that, Mr. TenDen?
Yeah, I think Sonia covered the majority of it. Just to add some clarity, the ground floor addition, which would be at the rear of the existing building, would be adding approximately 138 square feet, which is basically an entry, a bit of a mudroom. The second floor addition would be approximately 360 square feet, generally above the existing structure, and again to the rear of the building. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for providing that clarification, Mr. TenDen. Is there anyone present here today or online wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? No, not hearing just the comments from Mr. TenDen. I'll open up the floor, the members of the committee for any comments or questions or a motion. Mayor Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. So I'd be prepared to move that application A0124 be approved with the conditions provided.
Okay, we have the mover. So mover and seconder with the conditions provided. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor? Thank you for that. We'll move on to our second A0224, so Lephta Holdings, Sonia.
Okay, this minor variance is A0224. The property owner is Lephta Holdings with agent John Dillon. Municipal address 308 Fire Route 89C, part lot 26, concession 10 on Jack Lake. The area is approximately 1.84 acres with the zoning of seasonal residential, official plan designation of Shoreline in the Methuen ward. Notice the public meeting was given by prepaid first-class mail to every owner of land within the 60 meters of the area to which the application applies, as well as prescribed ministries and agencies. A notice was clearly posted on the property. The property is occupied by a recreational dwelling with a gross floor area of 2,116 square feet or 197 meters squared with a covered porch. Approval of the minor variance application would permit the construction of a new accessory structure in the form of a single detached garage, 1-story, 952 square feet or 88 meters squared. The entire structure will be outside the 30-meter setback of Jack Lake. The reliefs are sought from section 11221D, having the effect of increasing the maximum number of accessory buildings from 1 to 4. Purpose of the application is to obtain approval to construct a single-story garage. The reason for the relief is to allow for more than one accessory structure from 1 to 4 outside the 30-meter setback. Property is zoned seasonal residential and the application maintains the interest and general purpose of the zoning bylaw. The Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended restricts lots that have 1.5 acres from developing more than one accessory structure outside the 30-meter setback. All setback coverage and size regulations under the zoning bylaw are being maintained, excuse me, save for the number of accessory structures. Therefore, the application is considered minor in nature. The minor variance will serve to enhance the overall utility of the property and is therefore considered to be desirable and an appropriate use of the land. Will not be exceeding the 15% lot coverage for seasonal residential zoning. The minor variance maintains the general intent of both Peterborough County and the Township official plan, as well as provincial policy statement and growth plan for the greater Golden Pond It is designated shoreline areas and waterfront in the county official plan and shoreline in the Township official plan. The proposed variance poses no further deviation or reduction to the existing waterfront setback and meets provisions of the existing zoning, save and except for the number of accessory structures, and as a result, it is our recommendation that this minor variance be approved with the condition that a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of the building permit, and that the building permit be issued within the 18 months of the approval of this application upon submission to the building department.
Thank you for the report, Sonia. Is the applicant or agent present with us today? Not hearing anything, so move on. Anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Sorry, wishing to speak in opposition of the application. Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone online or present wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? So no comments from anyone. I'll open up to the members of the Committee of Adjustment for comments or a motion. Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Again, I think this is fairly straightforward. It's a grant. I'll pass the motion with conditions.
So a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, sorry.
Yep. So we have a motion to approve from Councillor Clement. We have a second for the motion with the conditions. David. Seconded by Mayor Martin. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the third and final minor variance, which is Megan and Stephen Valentine. So Sonia, go ahead.
Minor variance A03-24 for property owners Megan and Stephen Valentine. Municipal address of 348 by Route 25, part lot 1415, concession 5. The report indicates it's 1.84 acres, but I believe it's approximately 0.77 acres. The zoning is special district 216 with an official plan designation of Shoreline in the Belmont ward. Notice of a public meeting was given by prepaid first-class mail to every owner of land within 60 meters of the area to which the application applies, as well as prescribed ministries and agencies, and notice was also clearly posted on the property. The property is occupied by a one-story dwelling with a gross floor area of 2,129 square feet, 197.7 meters squared. There's a lakeside open deck and a covered porch to the rear. Approval of the minor variance application would permit the construction of a new accessory structure in the form of a detached garage measuring 67 meters squared or 720 square feet with a half-story for storage space. The entire structure will be outside the 30-meter setback of Belmont Lake. The relief sought are for section 4.1E3 for the side yard setback of 1.5 meters, 5 feet, rather than the required 3 meters or 10 feet, and a relief for section 4.462164C1 for an increase in height of 7 meters, 23 feet, rather than the 6.421 feet. If approved, the lot coverage of the dwelling, including decks, porch, and garage, will be within the 15% lot coverage. The purpose of this application is to obtain approval to construct a 720 square foot, 67 meter square garage with a half story for storage. The reason for the relief of the side yard setback opposed to the rear yard is to not impede the driveway and allow easy access to the property for the pre-existing septic system, which is located on the lakeside, to be serviced. The increase in height will allow for the half story of additional space for storage. The property is zoned special district 216, and the application maintains the interest and general purpose of this zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw was approved in 2019, included special provisions permitting accessory structures inclusive of the detached garage up to a maximum height of 6.4 meters, 21 feet, and 67 meter square, 720 square foot, and is therefore considered minor in nature. As proposed, the minor variance will serve to enhance the overall utility of the property and is therefore considered to be desirable and appropriate use of the land. The minor variance maintains the general intent of both Peterborough County and the Township official plans, as well as the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The property is designated shoreland areas and waterfront in the county official plan and shoreline in the Township official plan. The proposed variance poses no further deviation reduction to the existing waterfront setback and meets provisions of the existing zoning, even except for the increase in height and side yard setback. As a result, it is our recommendation that this minor variance be approved. The applicant will require to meet all conditions, which includes an approved permit from Crow Valley Conservation Authority and all other requirements of the building permit. Meet the 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of the building permit and be issued within 18 months.
Thank you for the report, Sonia. The applicant or agent present with us today. So is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? No comments on this report either. I'll open up the floor for any questions from the members of the Committee of Adjustment. Mayor Martin, go ahead.
Okay, I'd be prepared to make a motion that application A0324 be approved with all the conditions provided.
So we have a motion to approve the recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Moved by Councillor Flagler. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll call question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you very much for your reports here today, Sonia. I'll now take a motion to adjourn the public meeting and return back to the regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Flagler. Councillor, all in favor? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mayor Webb. So, okay, so we're going to move into planning report here, and Sonia, you're still on the hot seat. So, anyway, this is shoreline planning for shoreline ground reserve.
This request is from Michael Lewis, a concession 6-part lot 15 with municipal address of 563 Peninsula Road. and the Methuen Ward on Koshbog Lake. The purpose of the report is to present for consideration and requisite direction of council a request received from the property owner in relation to acquiring the abutting shoreline crown reserve. Recommendation is that council direct staff to advise the property owner and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry that the township has no concerns with or objections to the proposed acquisition of the abutting shoreline, presently under the ownership of MNRF. The municipality is in receipt of the request from Michael Lewis regarding the proposed acquisition. The property is described as concession 6, part lot 15, with municipal address of 563 Peninsula Road. MNRF requests to be advised of any comments or concerns which council may have.
Recommendation here, pretty straightforward. Moved by Councillor Doherty that we move the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Clement. Questions or comments? Speak to the motion. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. Thank you, Sonia. Good job. Okay, Travis, you're on. First item is with regard to building development agreement with revision for Bartlett.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The report before you is with respect to a slight revision with a development agreement we currently have on the property. The property is owned by Bradley Fisher and Allison Bartlett, part lot 20, concession 3, with a municipal address of 38 Fire Route 17. In 2019, the property was rezoned to permit a new vacation dwelling and also to permit a change of use to keep the existing dwelling and convert it to a boathouse by way of a development agreement. One minor change has been requested. There was a south deck that was open deck that was on the boathouse for the existing cottage. It was removed. So in order to keep a safe walkway, they want to move the wall back about 5 feet and create a covered walkway. So that's the only change proposed within here. So it's staff's recommendation. The council hereby enacts a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the draft agreement on behalf of the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. Okay. Good then. Council thoughts here? That's good. Okay, so the recommendation is, well, as Travis said, that we enact the bylaw to authorize mayor and clerk to execute the draft agreement. First, make a recommendation to approve.
Okay, moved by Councilor
Condition.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councilor Doherty. Question.
I heard the word boathouse mentioned. So is this for clarification, the boathouse or? So through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it's a boathouse, so there'll be no habitable space permitted with it.
Was there a seconder for?
Yep.
You're seconding it? All right, any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and the last thing, the project here in planning, it's the road agreement.
The proposed road agreement is for Miller Timber Sands Limited, part lot 30, east half, concession 10, roll number 153101007666600. It's in the Methuen Ward. This property just recently was in front of council for the zone amendment application to permit a permanent dwelling on a private road. So step 2 of that process is the road agreement, which is in front of council before signed, but right now signed by the owner. The third step of that application will be to remove the H. So once this agreement is signed by council and registered on title, we'll be in a position to come back and remove the holding provision, which will then put the owner in a position to apply for building permit. Recommendation today that council hereby enacts the draft bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen.
Okay. Council thoughts?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder Councilor Doherty. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. All right, thank you, Travis. Okay, we're gonna move into delegation presentations now. And the first one is Sarah team. Sheriff. Anyway, program coordinator for FoodCycler Science Corporation. So down here. Sarah. See you're on there, but I don't see. Sarah, or can you? Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, got you now.
Sorry about that. I think it took a second.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, so we are in our delegation portion of the meeting, and you have a report back from FoodCycler survey.
Yes, I do. I will be sharing my screen to go over the pilot project results. So bear with me just one moment. Let's see if it's gonna let me share. I'm sorry, it seems to be taking 1 second. Let me get this organized.
Want us to share it here? And
Yeah, I was trying to share it. Doesn't seem to be. Okay, there we go. Can you see?
yeah,
Okay. All right. So sorry about that. So once again, my name is Farah Sheriff-Dean. Thank you for having me this morning. And I will be going over the pilot program results for the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. And I will go into the next slide. And just before we go into the results, I wanted to give you a quick recap of our company. We're a Canadian company based out of Ottawa, 100% focused on food waste diversion solutions. And we do this with our innovative technology called the FoodCycler. And we want to acknowledge that Impact Canada's Food Waste Reduction Challenge was in part able to fund the municipal program in HBM. And we would like to thank you for being one of the implementation partners on that. And we can go into the next slide. And as of today, we're really proud to say that we're in actually 120 municipal partners. And once again, we want to thank you for being one of our early implementation partners. And we can go into the next slide. And with support with Impact Canada's Food Waste Reduction Challenge, your pilot program included 100 participating households. The net cost to the township was a total of $12,500 that included shipping and HST. Your program ran from July to October of 2023, where usage was tracked for 12 weeks and to calculate total waste diversion, and your residents completed the survey that provided the data and feedback that we're going over now. So for the next slide, so we were able to collect 67 responses from 100 participants, which is a 67% response rate. And you'll see the first two questions here is to give you an idea of the importance of greenhouse gas reduction and waste reduction to your residents. So your residents rated greenhouse gas reduction importance as an 8 out of 10 and waste reduction importance as a 9 out of 10. And when we asked your residents where their food waste went prior to using their FoodCycler, a large majority said that their food waste was going into the garbage, whereas others were only really able to put their food waste into composting during the spring and summer months. So we can go to the next slide. And when we asked your residents why they didn't compost, a large majority expressed concerns about animals and wildlife like bears and raccoons. A majority also expressed concerns about odor, maintenance, and know-how. And the FoodCycler is a really great solution for this because it is a sanitary way to deal with compost. And it's also incredibly effective. And we just have a quote from one of your residents where they said that it was, you know, less smell for them, fruit flies, mess. They didn't really have to deal with neighborhood pests or pets. So we can go into the next slide. And when we asked about the split of devices in your community, it was about a 50-50 split between the FC30 and the Maestro or the Eco 5. And we can go into the next slide. And when we asked residents for the number of cycles that they ran, they were running an average of 4.37 cycles per week on their FC30s and an average of 3.78 cycles per week on their Maestros or Eco 5s. So this is equal to about 312 kilograms per year per household of food waste being diverted from the 100 FoodCyclers in use, which is a total of 31.2 metric tons of food waste being diverted from landfills per year from the 100 FoodCyclers in use. The next slide. Additionally, the 100 FoodCyclers in HBM will be diverting 40.6 metric tons of CO2e equivalents per year. And this is the equivalent of about 48 acres of forest sequestering carbon every year. So we can go to the next slide. So when we asked your residents about the number of standard garbage bags that they were generating per week, they were generating 0.44 fewer standard garbage bags per week, which is a reduction of 22.8 garbage bags per household per year that would not be being trucked to local landfills. And we have a few comments from from some of the residents as well to talk about how much they were able to reduce with their garbage usage. And this would also be a contribution to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. We can go into the next slide. And when we asked your residents if increased awareness of food waste motivated them to waste less food, a large majority, 73%, said that yes, it did. And when people manage their food waste at home, they become a lot more aware of how much they're wasting in the first place. And we always say that the most effective waste diversion strategy is to not generate any food waste to begin with. So the awareness component is something that might be hard to put into numbers, but it is an added value that the FoodCycler provides as a solution and likely contributed to the reduction of garbage bags mentioned in the previous slide. So we can go into the next slide. And when we asked your residents if they saw a reduction or an increase in electricity costs during the time that they used the FoodCycler, 5% reported that they did, whereas 65% reported that they were unsure. This typically indicates that any increases in costs were either negligible, acceptable, or not really noticed by residents. We can go to the next slide. And when we asked if residents would recommend their FoodCycler to friends or neighbors if the municipality continued to offer a FoodCycler program, 78% of residents indicated yes, they would based on their own experience. You can go on to the next slide. And when we asked them if they would recommend the FoodCycler to others, an overwhelming 96% said that yes, that they would. To the next slide. And when we asked your residents if they would continue using their FoodCycler after this pilot, 98% of residents indicated that yes, they would. And this number far exceeds any other organic waste management solution there is out there today. For example, here in Ottawa, where green waste curbside collection is available to everyone, only 57% of residents really utilize the service. And when it comes to composting, something that's really available to anyone with the space to do so, the rates of adoption have been stagnant for decades. So this 98% is incredibly encouraging and speaks to the willingness of your residents to adopt this solution in terms of their food waste solution. We'll go on to the next slide. And this slide gives us a 4.6 out of 5-star rating for the overall pilot project experience. And it really speaks to all of the work and dedication and effort that's been put in by the township to run the program. 72% of residents rated it at 5 stars, and we've included a few comments from residents about their experience. We can go to the next slide. And we also like to include a few constructive comments that residents have made about their experiences. So this is here for everyone to see, and then we can go into the next slide. And just to recap, 31.2 metric tons of food waste has been diverted from the 100 food cyclers in use in the pilot. Your residents reported a 0.44 bag reduction per week, which equals 22.8 bags per household per year of food waste being diverted from landfills, and 98.3 of your residents will continue using their food cycler. We go to the next slide. And just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like when you scale up the utilization of the food cycler in your community, Nelson in British Columbia is the first community to have the food cycler be their community-wide food waste diversion solution in 5,000 homes. And some of the measures in place is a carbon refill station at the local grocery store for residents to be able to come in and get their free carbon refills. We have a warranty and local repair program. We also have an extensive education program for residents. We also have bear-proof bins for residents to drop off their byproduct in case they're unable to use it in their own homes as well. So we can go into the next slide. And in terms of some next steps, we do have a emissions calculator tool. It's available at no extra cost to our municipalities, and it allows you to have a life cycle analysis of the food cyclers in your community to see how much greenhouse gas emissions have been able to contribute to sustainability efforts. We also have new technology that will be coming in the summer of this year. And being one of our early implementation partners, any Impact Canada funding, you will have first right of refusal. And we just ask that you accept this presentation as information. And we have the ability to discuss any expanded options for a program or a more customized program for the township, which we would be happy to do so. And that brings me to the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Farah. And yeah, the survey was really well done. Looking over it, I have to agree with about probably 98% of the answers there. I totally agree with. Yeah, it's I know my garbage is a lot lighter than it used to be, and so I think that's due to the composting. It's quite a machine. I do run it 2 or 3 times a week, and yeah, it's been really good. It's a lot better than I expected. So
that's what we are happy to hear.
So I'm going to open it up to council. Is there any comments or questions for Farah? Okay, so there is an option here that we received the presentation and refer it to staff for any further discuss the next steps if you like. Does anybody want to move that or just receive?
I'll make a motion to receive.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Doherty that we receive. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Flagler. All in favor? Okay, thank you, Farah.
Thank you so much.
Good presentation.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.
Take care.
All right, our next delegation here is Ray Abrams from RuralLynx, wireless high-speed internet. And he has a presentation about the water tower site proposal. Ray?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good.
I'll just see if I can get a camera working here. Good luck on that.
Technology is not your thing, eh?
No, not really. Bruce, wait a minute, there's start video. I don't know if my camera even works in this phone, this computer, but
We can hear you good if you want to carry on. It's up to you.
yeah. Okay, so anyway, yes, I'm the owner of RuralLynx high-speed internet. We've been in business for 10 years, and we supply high-speed internet to rural areas in the Havelock area and a little bit further down southwest on different townships, Norwood and Northumberland, Peterborough County. But what we really want to try to do and propose here is to utilize the HBM water tower to bring affordable internet TV to the town of Havelock. If you are interested in this, if you kind of read through our proposal, we would install a fiber optic circuit at the HBM water tower. We would then install a wireless access point from the water tower to the rec center arena on the other side of town, which would then cover the majority of the town to try and bring that affordable internet and, like I said, TV as well. And it would also work surrounding areas around Havelock as well. In turn, we'd like to supply wireless internet, or sorry, a wireless Wi-Fi for the arena and the community park in the area. Obviously, there's a little design work that has to be done to make this happen. So I'm hoping that you guys would consider this project and see if we can move forward with this. If there's any type of questions you want to ask, feel free to ask them. Like I say, we'll have to then, if approved, we'd have to move to put a project together, overview of what we actually do. I'd have to have access to the engineering specs of the tower as well, so we place our radios in the proper spot.
Okay.
So overall, it's just a preliminary offer to see what you think of and whether you'd approve such a thing going forward.
Okay. Thanks, Ray. I'm just going to turn it over to Deputy Mayor Webb. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, Ray. I believe we've spoken about this before. Do you know, do you have a number in terms of, or a number, size, whatever, in terms of what kind of towers would have to go up there?
The radios that would attach to the actual water tower, we can hide them pretty good. Obviously, there would have to be some up at the very top. It would basically be just like a channel, steel structure that would attach to the top of the tower. Probably wouldn't be any more than 10 feet high, as the fact that the tower is already high. Maybe on the secondary, like halfway up the tower, you have railing that could be utilized for radios as well. We can disguise the radios pretty good. We can paint them the same color as the tower. Again, we can work through a design that would be best for everybody.
And just further to that, Ray, is this something that's done in other communities? Do you know?
It has been. Definitely the towers have been utilized. Norwood has done it for it was close. Again, if we start getting a lot of different tenants on the tower, it can get a little messy. That's something we can discuss, whether you want to solely supply, solely use me as a tenant, or whether this is something you want to go in the future. For me as well, I'd like to know future plans for the tower as well, because it's going to become clustered with extra tenants. It will affect my ability to service the township properly with the spectrum of the radio broadcasts for the internet. But they have been, yes, utilized in different communities.
Thank you for that, Ray. I know this is an issue that's brought up by quite a number of our constituents, to myself and probably other members of council, in terms of where they live and maybe not being able to get the service that they think they deserve there. It's something I think that is being worked on by Eorn as well, in terms of working with Rogers, I think, to try and get some of these bigger towers up, but I know that they've run into trouble, especially with the topography of a lot of these areas, one of them being ours, in terms of installing these large towers. So it's nice to have a smaller company like you working to try and, I guess, fill the gaps that aren't filled by these bigger companies. So I like the idea. Obviously, we've all heard it. It's just something that staff's gonna have to look into a great deal moving forward. But I think it's an interesting idea in terms of, as I said, maybe referring it to staff and have them have a good look at it in terms of what that would entail and whatnot. So thank you for the presentation, Ray.
Thank you very much. We definitely try to do what we can to get internet to rural people. Again, this is more of an urban scenario, but I think this is something that Havelock itself could save their constituents a little bit of money as having more competition for your internet and TV within the town itself.
Okay, another question from Councillor Clement.
Thank you for your presentation. Just one question. Is there any cost to the township?
No. We would negotiate what the tenant would cost for the actual water tower itself. As I had stated in the proposal, I'd supply some Wi-Fi for the township in their parks area. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know. We are trying to partner with HBM. I'm hoping that you're not going to, try to charge a huge amount of money for any type of work that I want to do to enhance the Wi-Fi ability in the town.
Okay, so as you said, this is preliminary, so there's going to be a lot of discussion going on with staff. So I'm sure there's more to come. So that will be one of the things that will need to come back to us on, what if there is a cost to the township, what it is. So okay, all right. Then is there any other questions for Ray? Beth, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin. Just one question. Do you have other locations other than a water tower to put whatever it is that you're calling it? I understand what it is, but my concern is if we put yours up top there, I think that opens up for every other group that wants to do internet, because there is more than just RuralLynx out there. I can't recall their names now. Anyway, just a question if you had other sites that you were looking at.
Like I say, we do mostly rural areas. So yes, we have towers and silos and farm areas, but on the lakes, we really try to get those areas. This is a new project that we want to try to do, like I say, inside the town of Havelock. I would be concerned about other ISPs jumping on and doing the same thing I'm doing on a water tower, because it is something that uses spectrum for wireless technology. So if you had other ISPs doing that on the tower at the same time, it's just not gonna help anybody, because they will interfere with each other. So I think part of the agreement would be that there would be agreement between RuralLynx and HBM that RuralLynx would solely have the permission of the water tower. That in itself gives us better ability to make the service work for the constituents, and as well keeps the water tower from starting to look like a pin cushion, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ray? Okay, so I think the motion today would be that we receive the delegation and
Motion to receive and refer to staff.
Yeah.
For
Thank you.
future information.
Yeah, so moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. So thank you, Ray. And we look forward to hearing more.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, and thank you, everybody else, for the time.
Thank you. Yeah, our next delegation is Andrea Thomas, and that's with regards to the Havelock community cats, abandoned, stray, and feral. Andrea, are you on there? Is it Jaden? Nobody's there?
No.
Okay, Andrea, if you're on there, come on now. Okay. We'll move on to the next delegation. Seen it. Cycle here, is that anyway? Okay, all right then, so our next delegation is George Derrett with regard to Church Road. Geordie, if you want to come up to the mic there.
Actually, I'd like to show you some pictures to start with.
Derrett. Okay, sorry.
Turn this mic on, but nobody else turns it on. The mayor, he turns his on, sets it way back, so you can't hear. Anyway, I lived here all my life.
Ed?
I bought the place on Church Road. Right from the word go. It had shingles on the side. I had to take the shingles off. Well, when I got the shingles all off, they couldn't tell me why. So anyway, to make that matter short, I went to the lake. I could drive off my lane straight out. Mr. Green bought the pit beside me. When I come back, I had a 4-foot ditch. I called her across my lane, and the road built up 2 feet. Well, for a long time, the 2 roads was Mr. Green's. So I went to Mr. Green because the water comes off the road down into mine. And then pictures will show I had a sub pump to take the water out. Mr. Green come and drug a ditch from the side of my lane to 46. I told him, just put it in a pile, I'll look after it. So after a while, they told me, the mayor, I was after him for 2.5 years. I even offered to take him gas or go get him to show him a lane. He didn't want to come, he didn't have time. And I'm not bashful. So the north lane is on Church Road, now it's the townships. So the only way I could see the township fixing that is pave the lane back another 20 feet so I can go with the north lane. And the water comes down there, I ditched the side road myself. They cut the brush along the side road, the power plant, they don't even clean it up. And the railroad, they cut brush. It's a fire hazard. They're not even doing nothing. Anyway, to make a long story short, the only way I can see is they'll have to pay back onto me a little further. The cheapest way to go. Get rid of the water. So, up to you. I'm not bashful, so I figured I'd come and tell you. So, see what you got to say. I don't want another 4-foot ditch dug down the side and that'll cost a fortune. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Geordie. And is there any questions for Geordie? Go ahead.
I've in the past few months, I've had conversations with Mr. Derrett about this, and I'm wondering if it's something that we could possibly have a roads manager contact Mr. Derrett, and maybe I go and have a look to see if it's actually an HBM issue, or if it's something that Mr. Derrett's gonna have to get a hold of Drain or somebody else to just I guess clarify whether this is an HBM issue or not.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion, please.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we direct the road supervisor to go out and take a look at the property and come up with see if there's a solution there. Okay, and seconded by Councillor Flagler. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Geordie. Okay, so I'm suspecting one of you is Andrea Thomas. Okay, we just skipped over you, but yeah, if it's okay with council, we'll go back to finish that up. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you.
With regard to the Havelock community cat.
Thank you. Good morning. So just to give you a bit about myself, my husband and I moved here from Whitby 2 years ago. And I currently have 2 dogs and I'm now at 3 cats. I came here with one. So just a few facts that I was actually shocked about. Female cats can start having litters as early as 4 to 5 months. They can have 4 to 5 kittens. And they can have up to 3 to 4 litters a year. Since living here, I have seen many cats on the street and talked to other people who have also seen them. A lot of them come out at nighttime, so they're not visual during the day, they hide. I talked to one gentleman because I walk my dogs a lot, and he said on George Street in the summertime, there's hundreds of cats. He says he sits on his front porch and they're walking up and down George Street. On the side streets off George, there's also cats. I had a lady contact me. She has a colony of 4 currently. She's 1 kilometer north of town. Sandy is also looking after a colony. And it started out with 3 cats. 2 males and a female, or so we thought. It has already expanded, despite getting 2 of those cats off the property. So stray cats can live 12 to 15 years. The same as almost a house cat. Now, some will not survive. But what happens is when one is taken out or one dies, it is a vacuum effect. Another cat comes in. As we can attest to, because I took in one of the cats. We got one into a shelter last week, a rescue. She now has another male coming. That's how fast it happens. And the cat that she's currently looking after that had a litter in the fall is also pregnant. And she also had probably a litter, we figure early spring. And she's just over a year old. So this is how fast they multiply, which I was actually shocked by. I didn't think that that would happen. But I'm learning a lot about cats. So I've been looking into what can be done. TNR is really the best route for these cats. Some of these cats will never be able to go into a home. These are domesticated animals, just like dogs. If the streets were lined with puppies and dogs, something would be done. It's the same thing with the cats. These animals do not deserve to be out there suffering without vet care, without vaccines. With that happening, it's going to bring coyotes in. And I know this from when I lived in Whitby. We live near a creek, and at nighttime, the coyotes would be walking up and down the main road, and they'd be anything they could catch, especially cats was a prime one. If you owned a cat and it bled out at night, it didn't last very long. So I know a lady that I was talking to, she was visiting in the fall, and she was extremely upset when she saw how many were around the community center. So it also does not give a good feeling when people come here and see all these strays running around. So that is the problem to me, is the risk of disease, cats reproducing, and just the stray cats around. So TNR is the best way to do it. What happens with TNR is it will reduce, obviously, the reproducing. When they go in for the neuter or spay, they get usually a tick and flea treatment. They get their vaccines, so that's going to reduce disease. The cats that we can look after, meaning that people who can put up shelters, who can feed, we can help to socialize some of those cats, and some of those cats can be taken into homes. And then they can find good lives. Some will remain always as feral, but at least they won't be reproducing. It will also stop the fights, because cats are territorial. The black cat that I got into rescue was the cat who was protecting the colony that Sandy had. And now that he's gone, another cat has moved in. So I checked with Operation Catnip, and just so you know, Operation Catnip I believe between, what was my notes here? 2018 to 23 have already done 130 cats for this count. Okay, so I don't know who's been sending them there, but they've already done 130 cats. Their costs are $180 to start for the first 2. After that, this next 2 are $150, and the next after that is $130 per cat. Now, they have said that they will help us, but we can't rely on them forever, which means we need to have people looking for vets or mobile. This needs to be set up, and all the communities around here are dealing with this. This is not just isolated for Havelock. Trent Hills, Northumberland, Norwood, Marmora, it's huge. And unfortunately, the shelters are maxed, and so are the rescues. Trying to get an animal into a rescue is almost impossible. I've been very lucky that I have met some very wonderful people who have been helping out, but we can't always expect them to. They'll get worn out pretty fast if we're always sending a cat to them, right? So the cats that are socialized, we also would need to buy traps and that to trap the cats. The cats that are socialized, we can probably get into rescue eventually or into homes. The cats that are not will continue to live on the streets, and if we have people that are willing to feed them and set up shelters so the cats can have shelter, that's going to keep them safe and it's going to reduce the risk of disease. So I'm asking the township to fund the spay-neuter program, to help set up a committee of residents that would help with this situation. We will need people who can do transporting. We will need people who can do trapping. We will need to, some people will be willing to feed probably in shelter, but we may not be able to afford it. So I was thinking, maybe at the food land, we could have a bin that people could just donate food to, like they do to the food bank. We could put around donation boxes around town and ask for people to donate. These are things that we could. Sorry.
Please keep it down back there.
These are things that we could ask and we could probably do, and that would help with it. I did a GoFundMe. I started, I think, at the end of November, December. I got enough money to almost do 1 spay. We tried to spay the female. We were trying to do a spay abort because we know she's pregnant. Unfortunately, we were unable to capture her. So I think I've got 150. I will come up with the balance myself if we can get her in for her spay and abort, because I don't want more kittens. And that's what I'm trying to reduce. So these are some of the things that I'm looking at. The other thing is we need to start enforcing, and I don't know if this is animal control who would look after it, but we need to enforce the fact that animals need to be spayed and neutered. Every one of my animals are spayed and neutered. Every one of my animals have microchips. The cat that I took in is already booked for the end of this month, and he will be getting neutered and he will be getting microchipped. I also don't believe in letting my cats roam. I don't think that's right. I know cats escape. My first cat was a great escape artist. When the dogs would go out, he'd go through their legs and escape until he got too fat to run fast enough and the dogs would catch him. So he would admit that wasn't good. But we do need to address that, and people need to understand that they can't have their animals loose, especially if they're unneutered and they're not spayed, because that's only going to increase the numbers. I also talked to, and I think probably most of you know Meg, who owns the pet food place just down here at Town Country, I believe it is. She said that I think it was in November, a litter of kittens was dumped by the railroad tracks that she was feeding. She doesn't know what's happened to them. But this is the situation. People keep dumping animals. People keep abandoning them. These are not all feral animals, but some are, and some are not. So there is a sheet here about TNR, and it gives how the program has worked for other areas. The reduction. So it shows on here, some have almost been completely eliminated. The one in Florida has led to the adoption of 47% of the cats over 11 years, and only 23 now live on campus. So this just shows how it can reduce and I know Trent Hills. They also did a TNR program. They donated 15,000 that they paid directly to the vets to do the TNR program. So there are ways of doing this, and I don't know, I've seen some places do a mobile. So that might be something that can be arranged. And I don't know if council talks to other councils or other townships, but maybe something like that could be arranged where we have a vet come in and maybe they do a mobile thing once a month or something like that. So these are just some of the ideas. So I think I've talked mostly about this update, but on the next page, you'll see the original colony was the black one, the gray one, another gray one. The black one, as I said, went in last week into rescue, and he's doing extremely well. He's very happy, and they can't believe he's handleable. Like, they've been able to brush him. He got neutered as far as I know yesterday, so he's doing very well. The gray one that I took in, although he's still afraid of my dog somewhat, he has learned how to play. He's doing extremely well. I've only had him since about a week before Christmas. He now comes out, he will sit in the same room as the dogs. He just, if they move, he runs away, that's all. So we thought we only had 2 males and 1 female. We found out that there was 3 to 4 kittens that were about 6 to 7 weeks old. That was in December. Just around Christmas time, Sandy noticed that she was getting kittens that were 5 to 6 months old. So that would probably be her first litter because they look identical to her. So that's why we figured they're her litters. There is now a new cat that is coming. He's striped, and we had seen him occasionally in the fall, but the black cat had kind of told him he couldn't come. So, but now he's moved in because he knows he can. I know from talking to other people, there's apparently 2 large colonies of 60 cats. And that's going to be expanded. So the longer we wait to address this situation, the more expensive it's going to get. And that's something that you guys have to consider because it will become a situation that's going to be, has to be addressed at some point. There are already people in the community that do not like the cats going to the washroom in their yards. In fact, I actually got one of the guys came at me and told me to stop feeding because they're going to the washroom in his yard and everything else. Like, well, so do rabbits, so do squirrels. Like, I can't do anything about that. These cats exist whether we like it or not. So there are people here who don't want to see that. And that is another problem. So I just wanted to give you a couple of success stories. So Ozzy was a outdoor cat, I believe. He started, and he was owned by one of my neighbors. And it was very distressful the first year I was here. I kept seeing all these paw prints in the winter, which made me cry. But anyways, I never knew who this cat was. I'd seen him around, but didn't think anything of it. I just figured somebody owned him. So when I finally found him in the summer of 2022, he was 7 pounds. He was short-haired and he was starving. At that time, I couldn't leave him on the street. It was a heat wave. We brought him in. The owners had moved. They had abandoned him. We took him to the vet. They found out he had a heart murmur. I got him neutered. I got him microchipped within a month. And now he is a long-haired 10-pound cat, and they can barely detect a heart murmur. And he has done extremely well, even with my dogs. When I first brought in Smokey, which is the gray cat, it took him about a day for Ozzy to warm up to him, but Ozzy has, you can see there, Ozzy has really helped him move along. He's learned how to play. They play together. They're almost always together in the house. He's learned now to explore the house. He eats well. He loves attention. So, I mean, as a cat, if you told me this cat had been on the street for his first year of his life, I wouldn't believe it because he does not seem like he's ever been on the street. He's just a perfect house cat, except for he doesn't like the dogs. But, yeah, that one. So I also gave some other information of handouts that you can look to and refer to basically back up what I've said. And yeah, that's basically what I came to say. And I do hope the council will take this seriously because this is a concern. And seeing these animals out and knowing that they're domesticated animals, this is a people problem. People created it. These animals should not be on the street. So, any questions?
Thank you for your report. It's one of the best ones I've seen. It's got a lot of information in there, and we did have an issue around cats probably, I'm gonna say 10 years ago. Like there was, you know, it seemed really bad, it seemed went quiet for a while. And now it seems to be coming back, and you're right, there's neighboring communities that are having the same issues.
You see them like even on the side streets, like the black cat, I believe he was living on William during the summer, because all summer long I kept seeing this black cat up on William when I walk my dogs, always in the middle of the road, roaming, whatever. And I believe that's the same black cat that ended up feeding at Sandy's in the fall, because I don't see that cat anymore.
So these numbers are, there's more to the village.
There's a lot more, yeah.
Because there's lots in the township too. It's,
Yeah.
just not seen the same way, but
In fact, I actually carry cat food in my car now, so when I see a cat, I feed it.
okay, Councillor Clement.
So, through you, Mayor Webb, so I'm a cat owner.
Mhm.
Yep, never that. But your presentation was excellent, but have you formed a committee? Have you looked into doing a business case, because that should come first before you ask for money? That's sort of a number one priority. So do you have a committee?
No, we do not have a committee.
So this is just very preliminary.
Yes, I would, that's the one thing I would need help with, because I'm new to the area, so I don't know a lot of people. I was hoping that maybe we could put on the Facebook page for the township and ask people who would want to be involved and see if we can get some interest that way to start a committee. As for a business plan, I've never actually done one. But I'm sure I can follow an outline. I worked in business for years, so that's not something that I'm too worried about.
Right.
But I do understand these things need to be done. But this is at this point, we need to get something started. So I want to present it to the township, then the township can come back and say, okay, this is what we need. And then we can hopefully move forward.
Okay, and have you looked into a grant? Like that's available online. You could look. Have you looked into a grant?
Nope.
No, okay. Okay, that's fair enough.
Thank you for the presentation. As I said, probably one of the better or best ones we've had on this. It is an issue moving forward. I think to your point, Councillor Clement, all she's looking for is a little guidance here from us in terms of maybe how to go about that. So I don't know how we would do that, but I think Councillor Clement makes a good point in terms of, it seems like you got a little group here. So if we get that group kind of together with, you know, a lot of it you've already got right here, and then maybe we should schedule another meeting, whether maybe not with council, but with township staff.
Yep.
We can kind of bounce ideas off our bylaw, or
That would be fine.
we can bring maybe the animal control lady in.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I did think she should be involved because, you know, I mean, enforcing the fact that animals need to be spayed and neutered.
And at least get the discussion going and
Yeah.
get things started here, because I'm like you, I've my garden smells sometimes in the summers. It's
I mean,
not like I'd like to.
yeah, and I mean, nobody wants that, and I understand that, but at the same time, like, the guy who approached me, like, he told me to stop feeding. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop feeding. I'm a humane person. I cannot watch an animal suffer. I wouldn't care if it was a wild animal.
No, and that's not what we're into. We're not into, you know, rounding them up and euthanizing them. As I said, hopefully if there's a humane way we can treat this problem and move forward at a low cost to our taxpayers, that's what we're, you know, we would like to do. So.
And I understand cost is definitely a factor, and if we can find a way to do this, that, you know, and get the animals spayed and neutered and get people on board who are willing to help trap, do the transport and do all this, then we can move forward.
And just remember, like, again, we can look at how other townships have handled it, how they found their information. You know, there's a lot of good stuff online. So I think it's a good effort.
Yeah, and I can look into grants and that, because I haven't seen anything like that, to be honest with you. I know the OSPCA, they do supply food, they supply traps and stuff like that, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm not driving up there to get it, because that's like a 3-hour drive from here. And I don't even know if they would supply us, because they're more in Toronto. Yeah. So that's the other thing is, you know, out here, everything I would think would be in Peterborough. But again, I don't know the areas out here. I know that there's a girl in Apsley who's been doing the same thing that I'm trying to start. And she started the spay and neuter with Operation Catnip, but she has done a business plan and they are going to become self-sufficient, find their own vet and do all that sort of thing. But again, that I need help with, because I'm not quite sure how to go about all that.
Fair enough, yeah.
So that's where I think I would start. Like you say, the neighbors are doing it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If the group could put together something, not even the business case yet, as much as find out how to do the business case, and you can probably copy whatever they have or similar to what.
Would the council have something like that they could send me a sample of what a business?
Like I'm saying, the groups that are in the neighbor.
They don't need a business case. They just,
Yeah.
they need to organize, they need to come back, they need to know
Yeah.
who to talk to our staff in terms of, more so probably the animal control lady. But we're not at a business case yet.
No.
Don't just drop that in here.
No, that'll all come with talking to the neighbors. Yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. So,
So one more last, so, your lady in Apsley, like she sounds like she would be a really good starting point to ask, how did you get to that point? And then, we'll work.
I can see if I can get hold of her. I don't know her personally. The people I'm working with that was just somebody in Operation Catnip who told me about that case. But I've been working with some different people and I can ask them as well. One of them is Sue Dickens. I know she was pretty big in doing it in Tread Hills and getting it there. So, she might be able to offer me some advice as well. But as I said, if something needs to be done, so I do need council's help in even setting up the committee and getting people, like getting the contacts, because I don't have them. I only know a few people. I don't know many people. I also have a work job myself. So I only have so much time, and it's very quickly the people get burnt out because it's overwhelming, the number of cats.
So this is the initial step and yeah, we'll carry on. The group is here and they're all together now. There might be some more from today's meeting that'll say, hey, I want to get involved too.
Okay.
And yeah, start it rolling. And if you need to call me anytime, call me if you need help, but I think it's to reach out to staff and if there's any direction you need, they might be able to help you. So.
Can I make a motion that we maybe have her committee meet up with our bylaw officer and start maybe there? Is that acceptable?
Somebody made that motion.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's.
sorry, did you already make it? I'm
Yeah,
sure.
so-
I'll second it.
Okay.
Second Arts and yeah, so
Or you can first it.
it doesn't matter. So we have a mover and a seconder that the committee gets formed and get in touch with our bylaw enforcement officer. And then we'll go from there.
And how do you suggest that we start this committee? Because I mean, I know there are a few people here, but I don't know a lot of people, and 4 people cannot run the entire thing themselves.
So get the first part out of the way there, and then you have a committee. This is a base of a committee, and then there might be more come along here. Maybe through that first meeting, there can be some help on how to get more numbers if you just don't have time or whatever. But
and would we be able to use the offices in here to discuss as a committee or anything?
No.
Okay. And would we be able to use the Facebook page to ask for more people?
I think that will come from your first meeting. Talk to staff and let them.
When you talk to staff, you mean staff here?
Yeah, like the bylaw enforcement officer, when you start from there and then it'll filter through the staff and there's some things we can do and some things we can't, but it probably would be easier to.
And who's the bylaw enforcement officer? For those?
Would this be, go ahead.
Bob? Okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin, Andrea and I have had a wonderful conversation on the telephone, and Andrea, if you connect with me and we'll look after it all.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you. Right, we had a movement in second. We didn't do the vote yet, I don't think. So all in favor of the motion? And that's
Motion to receive.
okay, so
Motion to receive.
yeah, we did that with the vote.
Okay, sorry. I apologize.
So, already go ahead.
Your chair, give them a 5-minute break.
That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, so a motion to take a 10-minute till 20 after. Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor, carried. Okay, so we'll be back and start in 20 after sharp. Right, so the promotion that we resume the meeting, moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, the first item here is staff reports for information. We have a building department activity report from November from Travis. If there's no questions, I'll look for a motion to receive that information. Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, the next is staff reports for follow-up action, and the first item here is Josh with regard to some activities happening over at the arena. Josh? Josh, are you there? Not coming in. Down here.
No, he's on Zoom.
Okay. All right, Josh, Josh, are you there? If not, we'll move on to Bob's got one here for regular council meeting. So okay,
I have a question.
okay.
Yes, good morning.
Oh, sorry, there we go. Hey, Josh. We're into the staff.
Hi, Josh, for you, Mayor Martin. My question is, the name of event has not been put on any of those papers. Is there a reason why?
For you, Mayor Martin, from under subject, it does say Family Day, Easter egg hunt, Canada Day, and Summerfest.
On the recommendation. Oh, yeah, if you go past the first.
Asking what the application.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin. All right, so the name of event, when the sheet is actually filled out, the first one, so I have no idea what event that is. It's from 9 to 2:30, and it says they only need access to arena for washroom usage for attendees.
That's the Family Day.
Through you, Mayor Martin, that is correct. That is the Family Day.
So how much staff is needed for that then?
Through you, Mayor Martin, since this sheet was submitted, change has been made. The Lions are having everybody in the upstairs and the downstairs, so staff is not required. But we will be on site on noon for the public's gate.
Right, again, through you, Mayor Martin. So is that one staff, two staff, all staff?
Through you, Mayor Martin, that would be a one staff member.
Now just one other question, and again, the forms that are being filled out, the event detail has a red star on it, so that needs to be put on there going forward for next time. Just to clarify a little more, the next one is 10 to 12:30. Is that again, need access to the inside arena washroom usage for attendees? So is that again, 3 staff, 2 staff, or 1 staff that day? I'm trying to come to some sort of understanding of how many hours and how many staff are going to be on site for these 3.
So through you, Mayor Martin, on the Easter event, we will have a staff member here anyhow, as we are renting ice that day. So that would be a 1 staff member.
Okay, and Canada Day events, is that 1, 2, or 3?
Through you, Mayor Martin, for the Canada Day event, that is typically 1 summer student and 1 facility staff member.
All right, and same with Summerfest events?
For
12 till 3?
For last year's Summerfest event, we had 2 summer students working that.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So the recommendation here is that council provide approval for the Havelock Lions to hold their Family Day, Easter Day, Canada Day, and Summerfest events at the Havelock Community Center. And as Councilor Flagler just identified, there would be some staff for each of those events, 1 to 3, or 1 to 2, I guess it is. So, so what's your thoughts? Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Josh, the Easter event doesn't come with hours, and then in the back and their financial impact, it's not captured in there. Is that purposely done or just a miss, or I'm not too sure?
Through you, Mayor Martin, that could be a mess.
Okay, thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
It's still the event and you're still gonna do it, so, yeah, okay.
So the application, I think it's missing on the recommendation. It's got all the hours on the recommendation there. So what they're for. So anyways, what's council's thoughts here? There's the recommendation here. If you're okay with it, I'll look for a motion to approve. Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Simon, all in favor, and that's carried. Josh. Next item here is regular council meeting dates and times for 2024.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, at the regular council meeting of November 21st, that 2023 council did adopt the meeting schedule for 2024. It is our process to meet at 1 o'clock following a long weekend, following a holiday Monday. Through inadvertence, the calendar did miss 2 holiday Mondays, being May 21st, Victoria Day, and October 15th, Thanksgiving Day. So the new calendar corrects that and schedules the following Tuesday at 1 o'clock instead of 9:30.
So the idea around the 1 o'clock was to allow for time to see staff before the meeting if need be. Usually after the long weekend, we don't have the Monday to come in or to phone, so that was the idea of the 1 o'clock start. So that's your thought.
So just for clarification, are we going to the Wednesday then? Or,
No, just to go to the 1 o'clock. I think that's later in other business, isn't it?
oh, okay, I apologize. Okay, yeah, okay, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. We only have one meet, we're only having one meeting this January, and I see on here that it's got 2 meetings in December. One of them's a budget meeting. I suggest that we have 2 regular meetings in December as well as said budget meetings. So.
Okay, so that'll have to be amended.
Well, I'm just putting it out to the rest of the council. It's up to you guys, but I'm just. Sure. I'll make a motion then that we change the 17th to a regular meeting, and then we can fit a budget meeting in whenever is possible.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councilor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. And the rest of the schedule, that's okay with the 1 o'clock start. So approve this report then. I guess unless you want that motion to
Just include it all in the same.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's okay with everyone, or it's just all in one motion that we approve this and add a date there, so, okay. All right then, and that was carried. All right, see, next here is the ward system. And the recommendation here is read the recommendation there, so this is something that comes up every term, to deal with the ward system on whether, how we approach it or whether we leave it the same, so. The recommendation here is that, because we expressed the desire to review the electoral ward system, currently in place, that there's some options here. Doing the survey and with our tax bill and with what's the feel out there. And then I would imagine there would be a public meeting after that.
I hear you, Mayor Martin. This report presents the survey for council's approval. At the regular council meeting of October 3rd, 2023, council expressed the desire to review the electoral ward system. Part of that process, council directed that we start with a survey of the community to be inserted in the first tax billing of 2024. So this report presents the survey for council's approval.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. So it would be a matter of moving the recommendation that's in front of you. carry on with that motion that was put forward. So. Councillor Clement,
That's fine.
gonna move the recommendation.
Move the recommendation.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. Any questions or comments around this? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. All right, moving into correspondence. Up here. So the first item on there, I was away when this came up the last time, and this was with regards to a letter that was sent to us around boundary realignment in North Kawartha. And there's a lot said in there, but I think for the most part, it would be something to do similar to what North Kawartha did, is to receive this document and put it on the agenda for meeting later and send it to Dave Smith what that we are moving that. So the motion that North Kawartha had was the council received the information from Jack Lake Municipal Boundary Adjustment Committee, and then when the council meets with Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, which we're supposed to meet here over the next month or two, that it be on the agenda and we can have some further discussion amongst the councils. I think most feel that this is just something that's a little bit premature, so.
Yeah, it seems like this has moved its way down the road quite a bit without, I don't know anything about this, so I'm just wondering. Is this all in North Kawartha, like?
Yeah, it's a committee in North Kawartha that
started it.
Yeah,
So it seems like their council is for this.
No, I know it's as far as I understand, it'll be a discussion with us. We just sent it to, we've discussed it with, it went to Dave Smith initially too.
Okay.
And so he wasn't getting involved in it. It would be something that we would have to discuss. And as far as I've heard so far is both sides, like their side especially, is we got a lot on our plate, and this wouldn't be as simple as what this says here. There's a lot to it. And to pull a quote, there was a quote in there from me as far as I would be in favor of. I had talked to Ambrose about this, that it's not that simple. That was one of those surveys during an election, and that's and it's not just a simple boundary realignment. There would be a swapping of properties to help make up for the assessment that's on there. We own 3/4 of Jack's Lake, so there's a lot to this, and there would be a lot of discussion. It's the 4 people that run this committee. They have 2 from North Kawartha and 2 from Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, and they're trying to push something like this through. And so the idea was to receive it for today, and we can talk more with North Kawartha when we do get a joint meeting happening. So, and then we can understand it better.
So you're looking for a motion to receive them?
Motion to receive for today.
Correspondence.
Yeah. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder. Councillor Doherty.
Yep.
All in favor? And that's carried. Okay.
Sorry, the motion is approved, but what are we meeting with North Kawartha about?
Normally throughout a term, we meet with our neighboring townships, councils, and get together and go over some of our joint services and things that we have. And we hadn't been able to do it during COVID, and we're trying to bring that back again, where one day we'll get an agenda formed or made, and we'll get together with North Kawartha would be one of them. In the past, we've met with Daryl Dummer, Marmer. We met with 1 year Norwood. You know, just to go over some of the things that we have together and see if there's anything we can do better or worse.
Well, that's not, this seemed to be a meeting we're getting together to discuss the boundary adjustments. That's not what, so this is a separate issue.
It would be one of the suggestions on there would be a full agenda of different things, fire services, things like that. This would be something that we would bring up at that meeting too. It would be put on the agenda. It's just one of many things. There could be, you know, half a dozen things that we would be talking about that day. And this would be one of them, to see where we both stand. So. Okay. So the next item here is fire safety. partnership here, so Bob.
Through you, Mayor Martin, this item contains a letter from our fire chief. It is an item that it's fire safety booklets that are distributed to students and throughout the community. Last year, council did support this endeavor at the $200 level.
Council's thoughts here, Deputy Mayor Webb.
Sorry, is that what the chief, sorry, I'm having trouble working through, is that what the chief is asking for again this year?
If he's on the call, he'll let me answer.
Ray, are you there? Sorry.
Yeah, good morning, I'm here. No, this isn't from me. This is a third party that does this. They ask for support from all the businesses around town. If they do up these booklets, and then we give them out at the like Celebrate Havelock or pancake breakfasts and stuff like that into the school.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ray.
You're welcome.
Well, still not much clearer on it, so I will suggest that we make the same donation that we made last year, the $200 level, but that I'm open to if anybody.
Yeah.
Big deeper pockets.
Okay, so you're moving that we do the same as last year. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. So thank you. Okay, so we have three things there with correspondence for information items there. Is there any questions with regard to them? If not, I'll take a motion that we receive the balance of the correspondence. Correct. Okay.
I think this came up at county. Councillor Doherty. The rising municipal insurance cost, letter from Norwood. Wow, I just question for the CAO. Have we experienced any, I guess, what would be catastrophic rises in insurance rates like Norwood had? Or I know.
I'll defer that to our treasurer.
Through you, Chair. We haven't received the same level of insurance increase that Norwood has. We're a little over half of that, 54%, which works out to be an increase, a compound increase of about 11% per year. But the topic of insurance costs was the subject of a recent email exchange with all the treasurers in Ontario, and there's absolutely no doubt that this is something that every municipality in the province is struggling with.
Lionel, is this sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if you know this, but is this kind of like something like not a one-time deal, but it's like this is like correction for the for the insurance rates, and that it'll go back to normal here for 4 or 5 years, or is this something that we expect to continue over the the 8 to 10% or whatever it is, 15%? Is that going to get us year after year? Like basically what I'm asking is, should we maybe be looking at going out and getting other costings?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think most of it is a structural issue in the industry, and I'll go into a little bit of a background. You take the brokerage we're with, Marsh, they're the largest brokerage in Ontario. They by far have the most municipalities on their roster in the province, and they market all those together as one lump to get a better price. That sounds really great at first, but what's happening here is that a lot of the underwriters, the providers of the insurance, have exclusive agreements with brokerages. So that's good in a way that we get a bulk price, but at the same time, I believe, and maybe the insurance brokers might say different, but I believe it's lessening competition. And that's certainly not an answer to the problem. It's basically just a description of it, which is unfortunate. And the other part of this is that municipalities are now being considered both anywhere from mid to high risk to be insured. So there's less underwriters and less brokerages that are getting involved. So as far as the situation we're in terms of who we're dealing with, I have no doubt that we're in as good a position as we can be. It's just my feeling is, and I think this is something that, you know, AMO and perhaps the province has to look into, is something within the industry itself, because I think both the higher risk, the claims, but also I think having more competition in the marketplace would help us out in every other municipality. So getting back to the original question, I'd love to say that I think this is a blip on the radar and that the increases will go back down to inflation, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay, thank you for that, Lionel. I agree. I don't know. I don't foresee it coming down a whole lot, but I'm just hoping it doesn't. We're not seeing kind of balloons here year after year, right? So, and to your point about competition, of course, competition is always good. So, I mean, I share kind of your hesitation somewhat. I don't know if that's what I read in your comments, at least in terms of sometimes when we get into these bundles, it's nice that we get into them with other communities, right? And I think, as to Lionel's point, for maybe the first couple of years, it benefits us. But once they know they have all of us under the umbrella, then we're pretty much, you know, at their mercy in terms of what they want to raise the insurance to. And that's where we get it, where I think where Norwood's at now. In terms of you get caught in a position, they know you can't move, or it's going to be hard for you to move. So thank you for that, Lionel. As I said, I just I like to always look for a better price, but sometimes, you know, especially in today's atmosphere, you don't always get it. So
Okay, Lionel, follow up.
Through you, Chair, it is something that came up in the recent email exchange, and there was a couple municipalities that had mentioned they had gone out, but it seemed like they regretted it because they got the good price, and then all of a sudden the increases started again. So it's the whole situation that somebody, you know, wants the business, but then as soon as they're there, the prices go up.
thank you, Lionel.
Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Through your chair, this was a huge topic at Rama last year. And these very points were brought up. I think one of our associate townships down to the east brought it up. There's double. So it's not a new one. All the ideas we're kicking around are wonderful. Competition is good. I think there's probably 2 insurance companies, so you can either go with this one or that one. But I thought they were referring it up the ladder to see whether the province would perhaps get involved in this. But is there any on that, Lionel?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I am under the same understanding as Councillor Doherty, but at the same time, I haven't heard any decisions or action from the province. But I think in the coming year, I think it's just going to grow in terms of an issue. And one of the reasons that it's going to get, I think, to be even a bigger issue is that once municipalities have updated asset replacement values from the asset management program, in theory, then the value of those insured assets are going to go up. So, you know, it may not be like a property tax rate where if you have a larger base, the rate goes down. It's possible that the insurance companies will then increase the cost of insurance because of the higher amount of assets being insured. But I feel like the province has no choice but to get involved pretty soon in terms of not necessarily government intervention strong, but at least, you know, talking to the big players and say, listen, we've got to do something different here.
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, what are our costs? What were the costs in 2023 for the insurance, and what are our costs for 2024? 11% or 10% up doesn't really mean all that much unless we don't know what the cost is. So if you have it there, Len, would be great.
For you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I do. For 2024 or 24, yeah. $218,000, and in 2023, $191,000.
Thank you.
Okay, so there is an option here that we could support their resolution and forward it to our MPP, Smith, just so it puts it on. Go ahead, Bob.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I just want to support the comments of Councillor Doherty and our treasurer. Insurance is a difficult issue to deal with. Firstly, there are not many players in the game, so we don't have many options to choose from. And it is true that this item was raised at the conference a year ago. There was discussion of taking it to the province. And as you can see by this letter that was sent to us, there has been no action yet at the higher levels of government. So we're taking another run at that, and we're writing another letter in hopes that the province will assist in this matter.
To you, Mr. Mayor, and perhaps if we're going to support it, we could change the honorables there too. Stephen is no longer in the fold,
county too. Yeah.
Just a suggestion. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be the option here, that we forward this to MPP Smith, who is our representative, and support their concerns. And you're right, and change the title. That came up at County Council too. So, what's your thought?
I make a recommendation that we support.
Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. Any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so the balance of the correspondence, are there any questions there? If not, I'll take a motion that we receive it. The one with regard to the sewage program that's coming, and the eligible criteria for instructions and nomination form.
The Peterborough, the county community recognition awards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the county recognition awards are in there too, so we might want to, and that is being circulated on our social media. Okay, so motion to receive the balance of the correspondence. Moved by Councillor Clement, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next item on the agenda here is committee reports and county council update. Mayor Webb.
Cool. Yeah, county council last meeting last Wednesday, January 10th. The warden presented long service awards, pardon me. The number of employees, I think there was 35 or something like that. They just were quite a few. A couple there was what 30 or 35 years service too, so nice. Had a presentation on from Sue James about funding for occupational disease memorial monument, which would be up in Peterborough. They're looking for shared funding between the county and the city of Peterborough. So I believe that was approved. So you might see that's something like that coming forward. And we had a presentation from the Director of Environmental Services about the new organics facility and the organics program for curbside waste initiatives. And I'll have to ask the mayor because I'm not, it's an autonomy. I know it's an OSM somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure. The new waste facility they got.
Yeah,
for the organics.
It's at the Benchford.
And I invite, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare this with the deputy clerk, so, but I invite everybody to go on the website to check out, there's a picture there of actually what the building looks like in terms of what they do with the organics. They bring them in, they put them in a couple of different tanks, move it from week to week, and then when it comes out, it'll come out on a truck as dried dirt, I guess. But anyways, it was quite interesting. As I said, I invite you to go on the website there and check it out. They've got it all laid out in a step-by-step process. It was kind of a late meeting, being the first meeting of the year. We already discussed that the letter there in terms of insurance rates from Norwood. That's about it, I think. So
yeah. So yeah, the city was there with their organic presentation, and it was pretty amazing. what it's done, and they said one of the biggest problems they have now is the bags are so light because they don't have anything in them, they're blowing down the street because there's all the heavy stuff is gone out of them, so.
Yeah, and just sorry through you, Mr. Ray, thank you for pointing out one of the things that was in there. I think it's the county has. Like for last year, the 51% diversion rate. So the city was at 53. So you're actually getting some diversion from this program. So that makes you happy and feel warm and fuzzy inside.
So it's helping to prolong the life of our dump there, which is gonna be expensive when we do have to. I think it has 7 years or something left, or Councillor Clement, go ahead.
So which website, do you want County of Peterborough or City of Peterborough?
Oh, Peterborough County.
Peterborough County,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Council agendas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can put it up here, right here. Look at it right here.
No, that's okay.
That's okay.
I apologize. I said I didn't, that's not. His fault. I'm just not, wasn't prepared for it. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right then, so that's the county report. So in the activity report, we do have Councillor Clement had submitted her activity for December. So other than that, motion to receive the balance of the receive it. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement, that we receive the liaison report. All in favor? And that's carried. All right, the next item is we don't have any oral notice of motion, or I haven't seen any written notice of motion come forward, so we'll move into other business. Another business, we have an item here from Councillor Doherty with regards to change meeting schedule for February 20th.
Oh, yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's also February 20th is the first one. We did the other dates of the long weekends followed by the Tuesday at 1. What I was looking at and recommending is that we change the meeting dates following the long weekends to the Wednesday. There's several reasons, but two of the main one is that the staff only get a half a day to prepare the meeting. And I know that it's put off to 1 o'clock to give us a chance, but there's 5 of us phoning everybody on the morning of the meeting. I just think the Wednesday might create a little bit better, and then it kind of defeats the purpose of having a long weekend and a holiday if we've got to do those things. So just a suggestion, whether anybody would be interested in considering that.
The only problem I've seen with that, a lot of us are on different committees, and most committees work around different dates, and Wednesday I always book for county council. Whether it's a regular council meeting, normally there's other things happening on those days too. I know this week we booked Wednesday, but for the most part, I have every day scheduled for meetings, whether it's Pro Valley is usually on Thursdays, county is on Wednesdays, township is on Tuesdays, and then Monday and Friday or whatever I can fit in. So anybody that's got a lot of committees would find it hard it'd be risky going to another day. We used to be on Mondays, and that's why, and years ago when I first started, we were on Tuesdays. We tried Mondays so the waterfront people could come to our meetings. We thought it would be easier. We ran into the problem of long weekends. We kept moving them to Tuesday again. So I don't know when it was, we moved them back to Tuesday. This idea of the 1 o'clock thing was just like you say, to give time for staff for council to ask staff some questions. That being said, we never even used to do that. We used to just come in and wing it. But I just think it's risky to move the day to another day because, like I say, I'm usually full on every day. So go ahead.
Yeah, I understand that especially in terms of us having county, but I won't get into that right now. But my whole thing is I don't like the meetings starting at 1 o'clock. I think our meetings are much better when they start at 9:30 in the morning. So whether it be we just go with Tuesday at 9:30 after the long weekend, or to his point, Councilor Doherty's point, we go to Wednesday at 9:30. But I'd really like to get rid of this 1 o'clock because The couple 1 o'clocks we've had, at least for my money, they were half a meeting, people were coming in here half tuned out, whatever, so.
And that's,
And we're just trying to blow through meetings, which we shouldn't do.
and that should be an option that, like, we have worked before for years doing them at 9:30 in the morning, and staff has done a way better job at getting the agendas out on Wednesday. The paper cop or the online thing to us, so we can see what's coming. So if you need to come in, Friday is still there like any other meeting. So that would be a safer thing, is the 9:30 in the morning. Personally, I like the evening meetings. Nobody's ever gonna agree. I always tell everyone, if you wanna get young people involved in this, you should go back to 7 o'clock where we used to be and where other councils are, because that encourages young people to come and get involved too, where most of them are working. Most people are working in the day and can't come to a meeting, so that's another option.
No, and for you, to that point, I'd be okay with that, if we want to move any of these meetings to a 7 o'clock. I just think the 1 o'clock
Yeah.
is not an ideal time. 9:30, or if you want to go to a night meeting some night, I'm okay with night meetings as well, because as you said, gets the public more involved in this process, so.
Yeah, and that's, so. go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we've kind of gone away from what the topic was, and the topic was moving it from Tuesday to Wednesday, and we have a plethora of reasons why we can't do it. It's 3 days out of 365, and how many meetings do we have twice a month? That's 24. So it represents a very small portion of our meetings that we would be asking to move. But now we're going from 9:30 or 1 to 9:30. We're going to nights. It was a simple request to move the long weekend ones to Wednesdays. Then we can select the time. And I would go to 9:30 because everybody would have a date. So to me, I would like us to consider, and if we aren't, defer it or decline it, or whatever you prefer to do, but we're not reinventing the wheel.
Thank you. So I would suggest, like, it's dangerous, so the 9:30 having to death. Go ahead, Councillor Piker.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. I agree with Doherty, changing the day to a Wednesday. That doesn't bother me. I also agree with Hart Webb, and we should start at 9:30. Not 1 o'clock. Thank you.
So yeah, that would be the safest thing, is the 9:30. Keep it consistent on the Tuesday. So if you would make that motion.
Staff, okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin, staff is okay with whatever council decides.
We did that for years, so it works. So.
What works now? Which changing?
The 9:30 on Tuesday that was suggested would be the safest one to do without interrupting any, like, I don't think you have any committee, so you might not have that problem, but some of us are on other things that we would get into bouncing. We would miss it for county council. I'm sure there would be one of them that we would miss county council. So I just think it's safer to stay with the 9:30 if Deputy Mayor Webb feels comfortable with that.
I'm okay even with the Wednesday. Like, I think Councillor Doherty brought this up, so if maybe we need to address the Wednesdays before we go back to the Tuesdays.
I guess that was my point when we addressed the actual thing, and then we can make a secondary if you want to change it from 1 to 9:30. That I'm okay.
So we can refer this to staff and let them look at the county council calendar, which is out already, and see if it's going to conflict with it. If you want to go to Wednesday, that's another option.
That's the one thing, because I think, exactly to Mayor's point, I think all of those days are days we're going to have county meetings at 9:30. You know what I mean? Because they're just the third Thursday, third Tuesday.
Go ahead.
So unfortunately.
Through you, Mayor Martin, there is one Wednesday that does not conflict. I believe it's following the Victoria Day. I can double check that calendar, but there is one Wednesday that does not conflict with county council.
Well, we can try it. What's the difference? It's just that we have a meeting. I don't like, we're getting way into the week.
Yeah, like, you know what, like. So I think you're right. We're going all around here. So the simple thing would be, I'm suggesting that we can, because of other meetings, Tuesday is keep it Tuesdays, go to 9:30. That worked for 100 years, and we can do it again. It's the 9:30 on Tuesdays. and just keep it consistent. It's something that we do at the beginning of each term, set up our meeting times, and I tell people that, you know, so this was set up, we went back to Tuesday from Monday, and if the 1 o'clock's not working, let's go back to 9:30 and let's do it. Go ahead, Bob.
Through you, Mayor Martin, perhaps I could propose the compromise and we could try the Wednesday on the week that it does not conflict with county council. See if that works for everyone. The Wednesday at 9:30.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking for a motion, whatever suits everyone here. I have meetings in evenings too. I do have meetings in evenings on Wednesdays, and I'm not sure if that's the week. It's every other Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. But the morning I should be okay on that day. Unless county schedules something, because they usually schedule for the Wednesday if they're gonna schedule it.
Sorry, I'm just gonna say, so like there's 2 days we can't really move it unless you want. I don't know what you'd suggest. What do you want? One of us here and one of us not here?
I just made the proposal,
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying to the.
From my dime, either we do it consistently or we don't do it at all.
Okay.
And so it doesn't make any sense to, Bob suggested it on the Wednesday. Yeah, we would have mass confusion. I might even arrive on the Tuesday at noon. So to keep things kind of simplistic, I think if we can't do them all, I think we should just leave it at the Tuesday. And now, if we want to deal with that part of it, then we can. Now, if somebody else wants to deal with the change of time, I think that's a secondary issue to what we're talking about here. Thank you.
So right now I'm suggesting that it should stay on Tuesday. I'm just suggesting that. I don't know what council's thoughts are. And the time, if somebody wants to talk to that. Go ahead.
They are on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So we're not changing anything.
Leave it on Tuesday.
Yeah, so we aren't changing it.
No, but the time then.
Okay. I'll make the motion, yeah, that we change the time from 1 to 9:30 on Tuesdays.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor.
I look to Councilor Doherty, so we're not open to trying the May date of a Wednesday. Okay.
Okay, so
just
you're moving
Tuesdays at
9:30, back to 9:30.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilor Flagler. Any other questions around that? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, that's all we had. Now we're moving into bylaw. We have a whole slew of bylaw. So. Here's them. So the first bylaw here is the bylaw to change the zoning of certain land being located in lot 13 to section 8, Methuen Ward. The Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen from seasonal residential zone to special district 276. In order to permit redevelopment of a seasonal dwelling while introducing site-specific regulations for Paplinskie. So the bylaw moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councilor Clement. All in favor? Carried. The next one here is the bylaw to change the zoning of certain lands being located in lot 28, section 9, Methuen Ward, in the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen from seasonal residential to special district 277 zone in order to prevent redevelopment. That was for the Kain property. Moved by Councilor Clement, seconder. Councilor Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried. Number 3, the bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement with the owner to permit the issuance of a building permit for the accessory building or structure prior to establishment of a principal use property known as concession 2, part of lot 8, part P 45R 9108, part 5 in geographic township of Belmont, roll number 1531. 010-002-10907. Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, that's for Bernal. Motion to move that bylaw. Moved by Counselor, or Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Counselor Doherty, all in favor? That's carried. The next one here, number 4, is a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a development agreement between the corporation and the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen and Bradley Fisher, Allison Bartlett, pertaining to certain lands located in part of lot 20, concession 3. With a municipal address of 38 Fire Road 17 in the geographic township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen and Belmont Ward. And that's Fisher Bartlett. Moved by Counselor Clement. Seconder. Counselor Doherty, all in favor? Carried. Number 5 is the bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement between the corporation township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen and Miller Timber Sands pertaining to the lands identified as part of lot 30 east half concession 10. This is for the Tucker property. Moved by Counselor Flagler, seconded by Counselor Clement, all in favor? Carried. Next one is the bylaw to establish dates and starting times for the regular council meetings in the 2024. Moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, that motion would be to move
With
the
the
council calendar as amended.
Okay. Are you okay to move in sector? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. All right, so we're gonna take a lunch break and come back to closed session. So what time is that's? I would look for a motion to take a lunch break, I guess. And come back to close. So moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by me, Counselor Flagler, all in favor, that's carried. So what time do we have to be back?
1:30.
1:30. Okay. Okay, so we need a motion to go into closed session.
Resume.
To resume from what?
Yes, please.
Okay, motion to resume from lunch. Moved by Counselor Klein, seconder. Deputy Mayor Webb, or Webb? Yeah, I got it right the first time. Okay. I have to do it once a day. Anyways, all in favor? Carried. Motion to go into closed session. Moved by Counselor Doherty, seconded by Counselor Clement, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we're closed. We're back in open session. Need a motion to resume open then, or I don't think so, we're just back in open. Oh, that's all right. Okay, so we do have a motion to come out of closed session.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, the motion will be to accept the recommendation of the solicitor regarding the matter discussed under authority of section 2392E of the Municipal Act.
Yeah. Motion. Moved by Counselor Flagler, seconded by Counselor Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried. All right. So our next motion would be the confirming bylaw for today's meeting. Motion to confirm, moved by Counselor Clement, seconder. Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn, Deputy Mayor Webb, and who's seconding to adjourn? Nobody wants to leave. Counselor Clement, all in favor? All in favor? And only see two. All right. That's it.